Good morning, how do you do, ladies and gentlemen? I'm your host, Seth Julian, welcoming you to today's session. We have two subjects on the table today. The first one is the subject of quantum computing. This may be new to some of you, and we're going to delve into it just a little bit and take a look at the big players and why this is so important. And the second thing, of course, we're going to look at the Chinese renminbi, offshore renminbi, the yuan. The trouble's brewing in China. Trouble is not brewing. Trouble has broken out of the genie's bottle. We'll get to that in a moment. Let's first talk about quantum computing. These are pictures of quantum computers. Now, they look fiendishly complicated because they are, but keep in mind when we looked at the UNIVAC in 1948, that was also pretty complicated as well. Fiendishly complicated, room size, etc. These machines currently represent that same level of complexity, but they also represent literally a quantum leap, no pun intended, a quantum leap in computational power. And the leader in this business is these guys. And their stock has risen in the last 40 days, last month, by 30%, or 27.96%. This, of course, is the International Business Machines Corporation. When I was a young man, many, many years ago, this was the Google, the Amazon, the Microsoft of its day. International Business Machines, IBM, pioneered virtually every major computational technology since the 1960s. The floppy disk, the hard disk, the architecture for the chips. The only thing it didn't do, which was a crucial strategic blunder, was design the operating system. It contracted that out with, yes, you guessed it, with Microsoft. So IBM has had this, by the way, we've shown you this chart. Let me give you a long-term, see how much data I have on the IBM Corporation. It's one of the world's premier corporations. It has over 130 years of innovative experience behind it. Let's see how far back this goes. That's a pretty big data set. You get the idea. 1990 is about the beginning of the PC revolution. In 2012 it takes a dive, but it's coming back. And it's coming back strong because when we look at the quantum computing world, IBM is a leader. Yes, there are other major contenders, the usual suspects you might imagine, Microsoft, Apple, Google, etc. But these guys are the granddaddies, and we think this is an opportunity for a real big upturn. And I'll tell you what the trigger for this was. Those of you who follow this world are aware that many years ago, Deep Blue defeated Garry Kasparov in the game of chess. Kasparov was at the time the world's leading champion, chess master, grandmaster, and Deep Blue beat him. And enough so there wasn't any doubt, three decisively. A little later, it goes on to beat the Jeopardy champion. Jeopardy is a word game that's been popular on television in America for decades. It's much more complicated than chess because it's basically a word game. It's a language game. The thing beat the human champion at that. About a year ago, a little less maybe, about a year ago or so, an IBM computer beat the world champion Go player. Go is an Asian game of strategy, similar but infinitely more complicated than chess. The thing won that too. Very well. Over the weekend I read that the machine has just beaten decisively again, not one victory or two, a significant enough victories to make it clear that it's the master. In the board game of diplomacy, for those of you who are not familiar, I'm not going to go into a long exposition about board games, but I have loved board games all my life and raised my children playing board games. It's very popular. They sell billions and billions of these games. But the problem with many of these board games is that people don't like them because ultimately they rely on the throw of dice, which is, random. There's a game called Diplomacy, which is the non-dice version of Risk. It's got a wide variety of outcomes, a wide variety of possibilities, none of which are controlled by dice, all of which are controlled by humans. You can double-cross, you can form alliances, you can collaborate, only to then stick a knife in the back of your collaborator. Very, very human. The computer just beat, it just overtook the humans in this game. This is a major turning point in my estimation, and apparently the estimation of many stock investors as well. So we think IBM is going to be a long-term buy position once again, as it was when I was a young man, and on the back of quantum computing. The other thing I want to point out to you is this. This is a warning sign. This is a danger sign. I want you to be aware of this. In the last 3 days, the Chinese yuan has lost about 0.75%. The genie is out of the bottle. The protests are now becoming widespread. It's not clear that the Chinese well, it is clear. The Chinese Communist Party can put down any threat to its own stability by its own population, and will do so brutally and viciously and murderously. They haven't done that yet, but do not put it past them. The markets are starting to seriously discount further the Chinese yuan. You can see it's weakened. I'll give you exactly how much it's weakened from here, which is about 2.75% in 2 weeks. This is an hourly chart. Let me give you a much broader chart. You'll see what this chart, by the way, is a dollar yuan. As this chart goes up, the yuan is weakening. It has lost, let's say from this point here, since April of this year to here, it's lost 13%. Okay? We think this is going to continue. We think that the Chinese Communist Party is going to is going to clamp down in the face of this threat. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for today. I'm your host, Seth Julian, wishing you the ability to trade with confidence. Bye-bye for now.